Hello. Hi, Ben. How you doing?
Hey, James. Yeah, good. Thanks. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. First update of 2025. We've first week back after the holidays, and we do have some progress to share, which is really, really good, isn't it? Should we jump straight in?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive in.
So, do you want to talk about proving customer demand or consumer demand?
Yeah, can do. So I guess that needs a little bit of context. We're in the first Glad Tidings 25. It's, I think, the third one that we've done, but we've been going at this for a little while. And we've explored different routes to market. So different ways of going to businesses directly. So a B2B approach. And that's still something that we might explore in the future. But we've found a different route to market, which is what we call in business speak, if you like, B2B to C. And in order to do that, we will work with partners and they will give us access to their customer bases, which is what will give us the mass distribution of getting millions of people contributing. But to do that, we need to convince partners. And to do that, we figured the best way to do it, because we're a big advocate of show, not tell, is to get consumers to contribute to Glad from now. And so whilst we're not convinced that this will work at scale, we think that the cost to acquire customers will just be too prohibitive to get this at any meaningful scale. We do think we can reach a number of people. We're going to start with our friends and family. We're going to go to our immediate network. And we're going to go then to different cohorts of people to do exactly what we said. We're going to try and prove consumer demand. So to do that, it's really quite straightforward. We are launching a new version of the Glad website, which will allow people to understand what we're up to, understand the problem that we're trying to tackle, understand how them contributing will help. And we are going what I call fully live and fully transparent. So we're launching the Glad totaliser, which will show completely transparently exactly how much has been contributed, and then in due course, exactly what impact we've had. So how much greenhouse gas we've removed from the atmosphere, and then drilling down from that, how that happened, how we've actually done the removal, what solution, what provider, what stage of sequestration it's at, etc. So it's exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
In that process, we have introduced a new concept, which I'm also quite excited by, called seasons. What are seasons, James, and why are we talking about seasons?
Yes. So seasons, we're going to do 4 seasons a year. We may do them as a continuous season. So we'll do 4 this year, and then we'll do 5, 6, 7, and 8 next year. And each season we will be tallying up during a 3-month period. So we're mapping this into the seasons of the year. For every 3 months, we will be collecting all the contributions from the community, tallying them up into a climate cleanup pot. And then at the end of each season, we will deploy all of the money contributed from the whole community across that season to the different climate impact projects that we will be working with. So each season we will, in advance, choose which projects we'll work with and what the blend of those projects will be, which suppliers we'll be working with. And then at the end of the season, we'll deploy the funds to those projects as planned. And then within the season, so on the website, we'll have a place where you can track what's happening within the season. And post deployment, you'll be able to refer back to that place on the website and see what the projects are, how much progress we've been making, what stage they're at, as you were just saying about what stage of sequestration they're at the moment.
So we're talking about winter, spring, and summer. Is that what they're called? Is that how we're going to sort of refer to
We're
these things?
not going to call them spring, summer, autumn, winter, simply because we see this as a global community, and when it's spring here, it's autumn somewhere else. When it's summer here, it's winter somewhere else, etc. So we're referring to them as seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. Thinking of it almost more inspired by nature. We like the idea of tying this back to the planet's seasons. but it's also kind of inspired by the kind of TV seasons, season 1, season 2, etc. So each season is an opportunity to reset the blend of our portfolio of climate solutions that we're going to deploy the money to, and just check that that's the right blend at that time based on what is available, the technology changing, who's got availability to give us climate clean solutions, etc.
Amazing. So, proving consumer demand, launching new website, launching the totaliser. What progress have we made on that? You've been busy, right?
I have been busy. So I've spent this week building up the information architecture for the website. So just mapping out what we need to publish on the site, all the different pages we need, all the different content we need to support this, and then mocking up wireframes. So for anyone who's not in this world of web design and building, etc., wireframes are like sketches of what the different pages and what the different content on the site should be. So before we apply the full finished design, we can get our heads around what we want to say, how we want to say it, how it all hangs together, etc. So been making good progress on that this week.
I've also had my head down on that, more on the kind of front-end website piece, trying to write the right words and put together a look and feel for a website, and also integrating that with a direct debit solution, so people that arrive on our website can actually contribute, and we've been making some good progress on that. And I'm not going to be as foolish as to say I'm going to ship that by the end of today, but I seem to have already done so. Desperate to try and get that out in the wild, and we set ourselves a target of this week, so we'll do our very best to do that. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting journey once that is live. Looking forward to it.
Indeed. And just for anybody watching, listening, you will be able to make contributions in British pounds, euros, and US dollars out of the gate, we believe. And if anyone who spends money in any other currency would like to contribute, just ping us a message and we'll add your currency to the list.
That's it. Very good.
So we've got proving consumer demand. We've got a website coming out. We're going to be talking to friends and family, getting them to sign up and make contributions. I'm also making progress in finding some people to speak with from a product research point of view. So we can get learn about how people think about climate change. Are they worried about climate change? What have they done about that worry, if they are? And get some really good, hopefully good insights about how individuals think about this and what challenges they have when it comes to taking action. So we can feed that into our thinking around how we build out this Glad community and the features that we provide them with.
Yeah. Similarly, Highway 1 for us is finding partners that we can work with, that can tell their customer base about Glad, encourage them to use, and therefore almost like our Highway 1 is finding those people to speak with, finding our partners and getting conversations started with banks, particularly the banks that want to go first on this journey. And I've had my head down on that this week and made some really good progress. Got some introductions coming from certainly one of our advisors, or a couple of different of our advisors that are helping us with this, and a couple of other contacts that are very keen to support what we're doing, and are going to look through their network and start opening doors for us. So not much we can talk about in terms of brands just yet, but very optimistic and hopeful that we'll have some interesting conversations to share in due course.
Yes, it's very exciting, and I'm itching to be able to share the name of those banks, but we won't just yet until we've got something more concrete. And you've also been looking at the financial model that sits behind all of it.
True, that was my little Christmas present to Glad, I suppose. During Christmas downtime, there's nothing quite like diving into a financial model and getting stuck into spreadsheet territory. But yes, over the Christmas break, we revised the model for a B2B2C, so a consumer-led proposition rather than a business-led proposition. We've got a really solid model now, which is looking good, looks to be super scalable, to be super fruitful, both for our partners and for us, but most importantly for the climate, which is really good. It's really good to have that in place. There are a number of assumptions in there, as with any financial model, particularly at such an early stage like this. And so our task is to identify those and assess the level of sensitivity within the model, which we've done, but then to validate those assumptions. And so back to the top, why are we doing improving customer demand? Because that will help us know a little bit more about those assumptions we've made around things like percentage of customer adoption from those that we reach, what level of contribution per month, things like that. But model's in a good place. And off the back of that, we are just pulling together our story about what we're up to, but from a very much a business perspective, which will allow us in due course to speak with different kinds of partners who help us on this journey, really. So it's been good.
Yeah. And importantly on that, we've had some really good feedback from Saf, one of our advisors, around that story and how we're presenting it, which is very, very useful and gratefully received from him. So as part of our regular updates, we do a what went well, which is all the stuff that we've just talked about. We also have a ritual of talking about even better if. So not everything goes swimmingly every time.
Before we do, we've not done this before, so we should talk about where does the what went well, even better if thing come from?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like I've stolen that, and I got that from my kids actually, or really from my kids' school. And it's just a format. James and I have done these all hands updates, or what we've always called highlights, what we're now calling Glad Tidings, for a long, long time. And the format is very similar to what you're listening to, watching now. But I just really like this. If you hand in your homework or you write an essay, be it for your English teacher or your history professor or whatever, that marking feedback by grouping it of this is what you've done really good, the what went well, and then basically that constructive criticism, that feedback of it would be even better if. And when my kids started to bring that home and they just had www, I thought they were talking about something to do with the internet, and I didn't really fully understand. And I had to ask them what EBI and www actually meant, because it kept appearing in their homework books. And I just really liked it. And so we've adopted it here. It seems to work really well on a weekly basis, because it allows us to talk about the positives, but without forgetting the slight downsides or what we've not done so good, because it's only by being candid with ourselves that we can actually improve. So yeah, EBI, yeah. James, even better if.
EBI, even better if. And just to add to that, I find it a useful way of going back through the history of what we've done. Like we've been doing this internally for a while now on a weekly basis in the Notion page with some notes online that we can share. And it's useful to go back and just read through that every now and again. So that was the thing that we perhaps didn't make as much progress on that week, but then we see a couple of weeks later where we have made the progress, and it's good to see that it does help us focus on the right things. So yes, what's in the first week of January 2025? Even better if.
Well, so the disappointing news is that we've faced reality, I guess. We're a bootstrap startup. You and I are doing this without any external funding, without taking a salary, without earning any money. And there's only so long you can do that for. And so our EBI is shared between you and I. We write these things independently, and this is just a forum to discuss it, really. But we both need money. We need to earn some cash. We need to pay the bills. And we don't think we're at the point where we should go sort of cap in hand out to investors and try to raise for this just yet. That might happen in due course, but we're comfortable continuing bootstrapping and getting a bit more validation and a bit more traction in what we're doing. And that means we need to go out and earn some money. And so we'll both be in market, taking our eyes off Glad, which is really disappointing, particularly because what we're working on is so time critical that any minute not spent on trying to do this feels compound bad. Like, not only do we not learn as fast as we could, move as fast as we could, the planet gets hotter during that time. And so it feels very negative. But it's just the harsh realities of it. We've got to go out and earn some cash, right?
Yeah, it's the old, you have to put your own oxygen mask on before helping others analogy. And, we've got bills to pay, mortgages to pay, kids to feed. So, yeah.
I like the analogy, but I do hope the plane's not crashing. That's perhaps the only thing. But, yeah.
Okay, maybe the wrong metaphor, the wrong analogy there.
No, that's good.
So yeah. And we've not done this before, so we were talking in advance about how we might do this, and we wanted to include, as well as the update from us, maybe something else outside of the update, something educational or something topical to discuss. And there was something that you got to be in your bonnet about this week. And I'm going to hand the mic to you, stop talking, and let you have your soapbox moment.
Yeah, I think that's it. Probably on our regular catch-ups, I jumped on my soapbox. That's probably why you've done this one to me. But this week in the UK, a very well-meaning doctor got sent down for a year. So Dr. Patrick Hart was arrested and has been convicted and sentenced to a year for disabling petrol pumps, basically at an Esso petrol station. So Patrick was affiliated with the Just Stop Oil campaign, and their whole premise is, the clue's in the title, Just Stop Oil. And I caught this across my socials. Just saying that makes me feel very young and hip. But I'm not very good on socials, but I caught this. And I just thought it was a really good example of where we sit with Glad, because we don't sit in that camp. We don't believe that the activities of Just Stop Oil, which are very attention-grabbing and campaign-based, are the right way to mobilise a community. We don't believe that that is what's going to change oil companies' behaviour. And I say we, James, I know that we've talked about this, but I should personalise it, because this is how I think about it. I just don't think that's going to work, because the only thing that will actually change this problem is capitalism. It's a capitalism-caused problem. And when a few, and it is only going to be a few people that are prepared to glue themselves to a road, chain themselves to a tree, or disable a petrol pump and risk their personal security and their personal freedom and get locked up for it, when those few do that, unfortunately, it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to get people to pay attention. It is getting negative sentiment because it's starting to disrupt people's everyday lives. But I believe the only time people start to listen is when you get the volume of people doing something. And volume really matters. The size of that community really matters. To get a large community, you need to find a way to get people into that community. And what we know from spending 20 years in product and customer experience, you need to get the experience of that right. You need to make it as easy as possible. So there is that motivation out there to help fix climate change. But unless some triggering event causes you to really be motivated, there's no stick pushing you to do this. And therefore, you've got to make it as easy as possible. So everything we're doing at Glad is about enabling people to tip over the edge, to get involved, because we've made it super easy. So you don't need to go out and glue yourself to the road and get arrested and get sent down for it, because we just don't think that's the right way forwards. And so it's quite nice, I guess, in a way, to use that as a thought process, really. We have sympathy for Patrick, and we admire his guts and determination to try to raise awareness. But if you want to get involved, you don't need to spray everything orange. But as of the end of this week, you will be able to contribute to a solution towards climate change. And we just believe that if we can get enough people engaged in that, if we can get this community mobilized, the overall Glad community, and then the communities of our partner banks, then we can start to have a voice. And when we have a voice, we can start to influence change. And that's actually a kind of has much more potential, we think, than the drama and the activism that's currently taking place. So that's basically what we're working to, and it was just quite an opportunistic thing. But there we go.
Yeah. I think I'd add to that. I think the activities of Just Stop Oil and other kind of activists in that space, I can see the frustration that drives people to kind of take those activities. And it does generate headlines and attention, but only in a very, very short kind of space of time. It's kind of yesterday's news very, very quickly. And I see that's where that kind of activism fails for me. Like, I want Glad to be measured on the actual impact we've had, the measurable, meaningful impact that we've had. And while those kind of activities do raise awareness and get some attention for a period of time, it doesn't feel like they have any actual material impact. They might inspire quite a few people to do something differently, but if you want to measure it by climate impact, it's zero. The oil companies are still pumping. The petrol station got fixed and is now working again. The people that were disrupted when you glued yourself to the road are now still doing that commute and still driving every day. It doesn't have the impact that we need it to have, unfortunately. So yeah.
The way I see it, the whole kind of Extinction Rebellion Just Stop Oil thing is our marketing, is one of our marketing angles, because by getting awareness to it, people get frustrated by a lot of those stunts and campaigns. But if it raises awareness around what can we do about climate change, that's no bad thing, because if Glad is much easier and simpler, then why not? So
yeah, absolutely. Right, so we promised ourselves these updates would be about 10, 15 minutes, and so far we're on about 25 minutes. So maybe we should wrap it up there.
Yes, let's keep it short and sweet.
Well, thank you, Ben. See you next time.
Thank you. Till next time. Cheers, James.
Bye, folks.